We're going to call your brother today, Tim.
We are.
What?
That'll be interesting.
Why do you say that?
Because Tim is in Montana on the top of a mountain, you know, building a house. And
All right, so before we begin the official podcast, so we're calling your brother, who is a sniper.
Well, he's a sniper.
Is he a retired sniper?
He's a retired FBI agent and former sniper and SWAT team leader and SWAT training coordinator and all that kind of stuff. He was in the National Capital Response Squad in Washington, D.C. They had some very serious...
So he's an FBI sniper?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so he wasn't military?
No.
Okay.
No. But he's in the FBI. He did 4 tours in Iraq for the FBI.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are they
FBI
alongside
agents
the military?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
this guy is armed to the gill.
A little bit.
What are the boundaries? What can I ask? What I can't ask? Like, can a sniper bullet get me from Montana? Oh, this is great. So we should talk about all this on the podcast.
Okay.
So is there any one thing that I shouldn't ask? Is the mic on? Episode 121. What's wrong with Orny Adams? My guest today, once again, Jim Clemente.
That's right. I'm back.
You're back.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
It's great to see you, Orny. I love hanging out with you. I gotta admit it. It's fun. We were hanging out the other night.
You witnessed.
I did.
What I call vindication justice firsthand.
And we both realized it at the exact same moment.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is it.
What I realized, I knew it. I knew it because I've experienced this before. So I know what the payoff is for this thing that I do. But what I think is so great about it is we talked about it on a previous episode.
Yes, we did.
We talked about this, the head nod. This could almost be called the head nod 2.
The head nod confirmation.
Yes. So what happened was, I'll set it up for everybody.
Okay.
I was doing a show at the Improv in Los Angeles on Melrose Saturday night, and I finished my show. And what I like to do after the show is sometimes hang out with friends that come by, which in this case was you.
Yes.
So Jim and I get a table in the corner. We order some food, and we held court. In fact, Harlan Williams today has been blowing me up on text saying,
Really?
look at you holding court, deciding who gets to sit down. He goes, wow, Tim Dillon got to sit down at your table, but you made me stand over your table. Like, it's true. Like, Harlan didn't get the official invite to sit down.
Didn't realize that.
Well, we were really in a nice conversation with Tim about podcasting, and I thought you guys would, like each other and want to talk, and Harlan just came at the wrong time. But, Harlan, you're always welcome to sit at my table. But I thought that was interesting. So then everybody left, and there was a quiet moment, and I look outside the window, and there's a guy alone who was in the, I call it stage right, when I was on stage, sitting alone.
Right.
Front row, laughing.
Yes.
Sitting behind the piano, which obstructs.
Right. But you did turn to him a number of times to acknowledge that he was there, and he nodded and things like that. It was...
Yeah, I could tell he was
laughing.
having a good time.
Yeah.
And so I said, he was looking at me like he wanted to say hi, and I don't object to anybody coming over to me.
No, that's how I met you personally, at that same venue, right?
Yeah.
At that same venue, because after the show, I saw you sitting there.
Yeah.
I saw you sitting there.
I'm going to get you a piece of foam that you can hit. I have them back there. You and your brother were there.
Yeah, well, my
your
brother walked up to you. My brother, Peter, walked up to you and shook your hand and said, great job, or whatever. And I walked up to you and said, you killed. You killed. You were great. And you said, you think that's good? Watch my show on Netflix.
It was on, put it on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah, it was
YouTube.
a Showtime special, More Than Loud.
Yeah, Showtime special. So I said I will. And then you said those famous words, do you even know my name? And I said, yeah, Orny.
Yeah.
You go, no, Orny. And I said, like, horny? And you said, yeah. And I said, okay, I'll check it out. If it's good, I'll text you or whatever and tweet it out. And that's what I did.
Is it really annoying that you're coming over to me as a fan or somebody that appreciates my work, and I'm just trying to sell you more? Like, it's not good enough that you just saw the show?
If I wasn't so impressed with you, your comedy, your personality, yeah, I probably would have been pissed off. But I wanted to see more. I mean, I
Yeah.
literally wanted to see more. And when I did, I was like, yeah, this is great. And I remember, you know, there was a kind of a tough thing that happened in my family. You know, somebody had a really bad accident, and we were all kind of together on the East Coast, and they were all, you know, it was a really rough time.
Yeah.
But we were all together and like at the sort of tables in the lobby of the hotel we were staying at back east, and I pulled out the YouTube video, yours, and More Than Loud, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I started playing it, and everybody, there's like 10 of us around this table, and everybody was laughing their asses off. Everybody loved it. They loved your different take on life, and how crazy you get and how engaging you are. And so that really confirmed it for me that I you know, that this was really good comedy, and you know, and it was great. And I've told you a number of times, I need more comedy in my life, right? My whole career was so dark. There were so many really, really horrible things, cases that I had to work, and things like that. And I need more comedy in my life, more laughter.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night. I was thinking about two things. First of all, I think stand-up comedy might go away.
Why? I hope not.
I don't know, I just feel like with technology and everybody glued to their phones, sometimes I look out in the audience and I think, why are you guys here? There's so many other things you could be doing.
Because it's great.
And then when I watch music before my shows and I see bands playing to, you know, these huge stadiums and they fill everybody with joy. Like, is there enough joy? When you go to a comedy show, it feels like comedy has gotten darker and darker. So is there joy, or does the audience leave feeling they were just at a TED Talk with some laughs?
No. I mean, not with you anyway. I mean, you know, you see comedians have different personalities, and it comes out on the stage and in the room. You see people light up when you start getting on a roll, especially when you engage the audience, when you bring them into your routines, and you know, and then you sort of snowball. You have a snowball effect. You pick up something here and something there and something there. You tie them all together.
Well, I try and get everybody. I want everyone to feel good and have a good time. And we're going to get back to the story about the kid that came up to us.
Yes.
And we can get back to the head nod in a second. But, you know, you bring up a good point. And what's fun about a conversation is you never know where it will go.
It's gonna go, right.
But I was talking to somebody in the front row to my right. For some reason, if you come to one of my shows, don't stand to the right. That's where everybody I engage with. It's front row to my right. That's where the kid from Lithuania was. That's where this kid the other night. I don't know why I started to talk to him, but I found out that he was in medical school.
Right.
No, I said I'm from Boston. I think he said he was from Boston.
And
I
then
said,
he said he was from Cambridge.
Cambridge. I go, that's not Boston. That got a big laugh. And then
Right.
I started to talk. I said, he said, I came out here to go to school. I said, well, why didn't you go to Harvard?
Local boy couldn't make it.
Yeah, you could walk to Harvard. And he said, no, he came out to UCLA to go to medical school.
Right, but he said he did go to Harvard before.
But but first I said, well, I'm not letting a UCLA doctor that could have gone to Harvard, and the place erupts and we're having a good time. Then it turns out the kid did go to Harvard for business. He went to Hopkins undergrad,
right.
Harvard business school
for his master's,
Yep.
and now he's in medical school at UCLA.
Smart kid.
Yeah, pretty smart.
And I think I thought he had a crimson hat, Harvard hat. And I think he was
really?
hiding. Well, because there's a little bit of like snobbery.
There might be, yeah.
I mean, if I went to Harvard, I'd wear it all day.
Well, I ran into him after the show, him and one of his buddies. And his buddies had and the reason why I knew it was okay to talk to him was his buddy had said to him, you know, I think I'm the only one in that front row that didn't get skewered, you know, because he was talking to that guy. And I said, yeah, but you guys were great. You guys were fantastic. Thanks so much for participating and being good about it, because you know some people just.
Well, how was he? Was he cool or?
Oh yeah, totally cool.
Because I can't tell if he shut down. His friends were loving it.
Yeah, no,
I called his friends
was
dumb compared to him. They were dumb, right?
They were all loving it. It was great. Yeah.
So then I want to, if you watched episode 120 of this podcast, I talked about going to a fish restaurant, and when you're not a fish eater, which you're not, right, Jim?
No, I'm not.
And so you
are,
relate.
though. That's all you do is eat fish.
I hate fish. I hate fish. I hate fish. So I hate it. And I hate when I have to go to a fish restaurant and all I smell is fish, and I just see the joy of everybody
eating
cafelling, so excited
Cafelling.
It's
I don't know
Yiddish.
what that means.
Just going on and on about
Yeah.
how great it is. This is the greatest swordfish I've ever. It's always the greatest. And then I'm sitting there with a second
Dried
second
out
thought.
piece of chicken.
Yeah, or old hamburger that probably has salmonella. You know, it probably when it gets old, they use it for bait to catch the fish that the other people are going to eat. So I wanted to get into that. So I mentioned Maine. And this is towards the end of the show. I talked to that guy at the beginning of the show. Now we're 35 minutes later, and I said, I want to talk about Maine and eating out at a fish restaurant. So I go, so I was in Maine, and then I look at this guy. I go, you probably been to Maine? And a girl in the back yells, "Oh, great! He's talking to that guy again."
I know. It was amazing. Her voice was so piercing. It was so clear. Everybody in the place heard it. And everybody's like, and you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get your permission."
No, she sort of trailed off. She swore, and then this guy, and she trailed, and so she didn't realize how loud she was. And we'll get to you heckling me in a second.
Didn't heckle.
You had you made a noise when I said something.
It was an involuntary grunt.
Yeah. So anyway, so then that became, for the last 5 minutes or so, me saying, "Oh, I want to talk to this guy. Is it okay with you back there? Do I have to get your permission for everything?" And
I know, you were on fire, man. It was great.
And it's fun because it brings it all together. So I got the tape from the improv.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice, I brought a recorder up on stage too, because I wanted to get
audio recording.
Yeah,
right?
audio ambience because the recordings from the improv, they're not that good. I wish I get better equipment. So I merged the two. So I tried to edit this piece together, but it just doesn't translate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's.
Oh, come on. Well, this is why being in the room is so great. This is why, the energy in the room, the energy you're projecting, the energy is the crowd is projecting to you, and you're reflecting back to the crowd.
Right.
That's everything, and it just builds and builds in your show. There's some comedians who, they tell jokes.
Yeah.
They tell this joke, and then they move on to that joke, and then but you do a show, a comprehensive show, and it builds, and it brings in aspects from earlier in the show, and middle of the show, and later in the show. And so that's what I love about it. It's just it's an actual performance. It's not just telling jokes.
Yeah, that's why I hate putting up clips, because it doesn't justify what happened. Like, even if it's a 2-minute clip, it really has 5 minutes of backstory. And so it just doesn't.
Well, yeah, but still, it's still funny on its own.
Well, let's talk about on stage when I said I'm not controversial, and I heard from the back, "Oh!" or "No."
It wasn't that. It was like, "Oh!" Oh, it was an involuntary kind of laugh of shock.
Yeah, but I
It
don't
was
think
like, "Ah!"
I don't think I'm controversial.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Orny, I beg to differ.
Really?
I think the thing about your comedy is that it is controversial. It is. I'm not saying it's controversial in a negative sense. I don't think you're trying to piss off or hurt people or anything like that. It's not that kind of controversial.
Yeah.
It's that you take normal things in life and you make them into something greater than they are. I mean, drying your hands on a hand towel, visiting friends, whatever it is, somebody spreading ashes, it's not the sort of, kinder, gentler way of dealing with some issues.
Okay.
But that's what I meant, because I find humor in your controversy. What's wrong with Orny Adams, right?
Yeah.
What's wrong? You're trying to find the things that are wrong in the world, right?
Yeah.
Well,
And hoping it's not me.
yeah, well,
Hoping it's not what's wrong with Orny Adams. It's what's wrong with Orny
yeah,
Adams.
exactly. But I think you blend the two of them very well, because part of your whole persona on stage is that you're a little crazed.
I don't know if that's the case.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Come on.
Well, first of all, before we get into this, and yes, I am
We
crazy.
still have to go.
We have to go back to the story from the beginning, but I need to say, because before we get too deep into this episode, if anybody's thinking of tuning out, don't tune out, because, and my Patreon users already know this because I've already posted this there, that we will be calling Jim's brother,
Tim Clemente, not Jim Clemente.
who was a sniper in the FBI.
Yeah, he was an FBI sniper, and
And I suspect he still is, but that's another story we'll get into.
I don't know if you can ask him that.
Okay, I won't ask him. Really?
Yeah, you can't talk about stuff.
Wait, you just, I can't what talk
You
about?
can't talk about stuff
I
that
can't or can?
cannot talk about. He can't talk about stuff if he's doing stuff.
It's already uncomfortable.
Why is it uncomfortable?
So wait a minute, okay. All right.
He could talk about he's going to talk to you about his take on the whole attempted assassination of Trump.
Okay. But if you're in the FBI, is he retired from the FBI?
He's retired from the FBI.
Okay. So I can't ask if he's still active.
Well, let's just say it this way. If he is still active, he can't tell you.
That's true.
Okay?
It's true. We'll see how good his acting is.
Well-
you know, I can read through bullshit.
Oh, really?
Yes, I can.
Okay, well, whatever.
I can.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So are we done with the stand-up or what?
No, we wanted to talk about the guy who you brought in.
No, I get that, but I'm talking
Okay.
about on stage. I guess we are. But here's the other thing. Come see one of my shows. That's what Jim is trying to say.
I am saying that because it's a whole different experience than just seeing it in 2 dimensions. You know, the energy in the room that you bring, you sort of stoke that fire while you're up there, you know, and you build, and it's great.
It's my only time of pure happiness.
Yeah.
It really is.
I believe it. I believe it.
I enjoy doing this, but when I'm on stage, it's zen. I'm not thinking about anything else. It's nirvana. I'm out there. I'm
awesome.
in the moment.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what happened that day. And I never bring what really happened to me that day on stage. I try and be as professional as possible. I just love it. And, you know, the burden is
shows.
having to travel and
Get there, yeah.
the burden is the 23 other hours in the day. But I invite everyone to come see a show. I will be at the Comedy and Magic Club. You should come, Jim. August 15th. It's a Thursday. And
at Huntington Beach?
no, that's Hermosa Beach, California.
Hermosa.
Comedy and Magic Club. Tickets are going. I got to tell you something. When I get the ticket report numbers, I come in every night at 10 p.m. and I see, 12 people bought tickets today, 20 bought. Like, it's happiness. I just want to sell
Well, that's
tickets.
good.
Yeah, and then I'm going to Desert Ridge, Arizona, which is like Phoenix. And I'll be there Labor Day weekend, like August 30th to September 1st. So everybody that, especially from the Adam Carolla podcast, you guys hear me. He's got a big listenership in Arizona.
Oh, cool.
They're always like, when are you coming to Arizona? I'm coming. This is a great club. So be there. And then I'm going to be in Vegas Thursday, September 5th. Then I go,
you're bouncing around.
Brea, California, huge club. Everybody come see me at the Improv, Brea, California in September. And then I'm at the Ice House again in September. So I'm still working until these bookings run out, Jim. I will continue to stand-up comedy. But after that, when there's too much resistance, I'm just going to be in here talking to snipers.
What if it never happens? I think you're going to be doing this forever.
Well, the thing is, I think I could forever be doing this at like this level, which, you know, I don't. It's really tough, and I do it all alone. But I love, like tonight, I'm at the Comedy Store with some great names like Arsenio Hall and Tim Dillon will be there, and a bunch of other people, which is I love. I love doing 20 minutes on a group show like that, where I'm not responsible for selling all the tickets. So that I love, but
good luck.
thinking about getting on a plane and going here or there,
You don't love it.
don't love it.
Well, pretty soon you'll be able to walk into one of those booths, and then they'll transmit your
Oh, I can't wait.
your 3D hologram to the stage, and you'll be able to be on 15 different stages at the same time.
I had a dream last night, an anxiety dream, Jim, that the Improv's called and they said your Brea dates, which is in September, are too close to your Irvine Improv dates in December, and that it was a mistake and you're not selling enough tickets. And I'm just like, I just want to, when I go to bed, can my brain let me have a break? Stupid brain. You know what I realized? When people tell you about their nightmares, like I had a dream that the floors opened up and a killer came out and they were chasing me, and then I was going down the street, but I was riding a watermelon. I was sitting on a watermelon, and somehow the watermelon, right? And you think, wow, that's a crazy dream. But if the person told you this in real life, they said, oh, you know what just happened to me? Yeah, this killer came and then I was riding a watermelon down the street. You would go, this person's schizophrenic.
Yeah, but there's a difference, right? Think of those nightmares, right? One clearly can't happen. The other, you're having nightmares about something that is potentially real.
By the way, the cushion just made a noise. That wasn't me. I'm trying to duplicate it because it sounds like...
What is it?
I don't know. So go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
You.
That's
FBI.
right.
No.
But the point is that, when you're having nightmares about something that's real, when you wake up and you remember it, it doesn't just go away and say, oh, that was just a dream. When you wake up, you remember it, you're like, oh, what if that happens? So it kind of doubles and quadruples the nightmare.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if you told somebody the story, like when someone tells you a story, like, oh, I had this nightmare, you oh, that's a nightmare. But pretend you didn't hear that. Pretend they just told you this story. This killer came in and came up from the floorboard. You go, this person's lost their minds.
Yeah, you would say they're completely insane.
So, yeah, the night brain can be very schizophrenic, but yet the person isn't.
Right, but it's fantasy and it's imagery and it's not necessarily one-to-one. What your nightmare is a coherent, cogent fear that you have.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas theirs is just complete and utter fantasy. It's indistinct fears that are coming out and personified by something busting through the floor, and there are recurring nightmares that law enforcement officers have, and one is that that you pull your weapon because somebody's going to shoot you or somebody else, and the trigger won't pull, or the bullets come out really slow and they just like hit and bounce off the person. Yeah, like,
oh, wow.
It's like because you learn to rely on your service weapon to save lives, right? That's where it's tied into your brain. And then, there's also a lot of people have these dreams of trying to run away, and they feel like they're running through, water, like they're underwater trying to run, or they try to punch somebody and it's just slow motion and it doesn't do anything. Well, that's actually the part of your brain that wants to protect you from sleepwalking or doing things that could hurt yourself. So it paralyzes you, and that's why your brain thinks it can't punch or it can't run. So that's actually a protective mechanism.
Wow, that's wild.
Anyway,
where's my phone? Because we've got to call your brother.
Soon.
I lost my phone. Did you take it? Where is it? Oh, here it is. Oh, I was gonna have a panic attack. Oh, we have time. Okay, so what time?
Wait, what time?
It's 9:40.
Right, but weren't we supposed to call him at 9:30? No, 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. Yeah, we have 20 minutes.
Will you text him and say Orny is going to call you?
Already.
Okay.
Look, dude, you don't have to ping me. I'm on it.
I don't need.
But we do have to get back to the guy.
No, now I'm thinking we just end the podcast with that. Okay, so go ahead. Explain what happened. We're sitting I'm holding court at the Improv. I see this kid outside that was in the front row of the show.
I'm like your bailiff.
Yeah, I call him in. I figure I'm safe. If this guy tries to come for me, you're going to protect me.
I'll dive over the table.
Yeah, you'll take a bullet. And so he comes over. You tell the story.
Well, he comes over and he's like very effusively happy to be meeting you and thank you for bringing him in. And he's so, he wanted to see you, and you asked him how he heard about you, and it was from YouTube, I believe, watching a video, and he wanted to see your show live, and he did, and he enjoyed it and all that stuff, right? And then he says, no, he tells us that
he said, well, actually
I actually saw you in person, at a distance. We were walking by each other, and you kind of gave me this nod. And he said, it was amazing. It was like, oh my God, I recognized him in public. Nobody else did. and he nodded to me like he saw that I recognized him, and I felt so great about it. So I wanted to come see your show. And immediately you and I turned to each other and we were like, the nod.
The nod. Because we talked about
the nod is real.
The nod is real.
Yes.
We talked about the head nod on an episode. I was dating a woman that got upset at me because when I'm out in public, listen, I'm not being cocky. It's a reality. People look at me. Maybe it's the hair. Maybe they know me from Teen Wolf. Maybe they know me from comedy. I have a lot of clips on the internet. And I feel like if somebody's going to look at me, at least, hi, gesture back.
Right.
And she would get upset. And she claimed disproportionately I was nodding at women over men. And that's what made this so beautiful. Right. This was a guy. Which I said, no, she goes, you never head nod a guy. I head nodded a guy when we were hiking. He had dogs. He recognized me. I gave him the head nod. And it sold a ticket.
It not only did it sell a ticket, it made his day, week, month, or year.
Yeah, he's a fan.
But
I saw Jeff Goldblum at the gym when I moved here, and Jeff gave me the nod.
Right, it was a good thing.
Yeah.
So when you give him the nod, it acknowledges a person that, they feel better about themselves.
Right.
They feel like, wow, it's not just a cold world out there. Somebody that I may admire because of what he does, whether it's Coach or whether it's your comedy, they appreciate the fact that somebody who is, ever touch a famous guy?
There you
right?
go.
A famous person actually would be willing to acknowledge them and bring them into their circle. And now you brought them even closer into your circle by asking them to come inside, holding court with them, and basically confirming that, when I nodded to you, it was like I wanted you to know that I appreciated you.
Yeah, well, I went into this business because I wanted to make a connection with people. It's what I do on stage. I want to connect with every single person in the audience. That's why I oscillate back and forth like a fan, looking, connecting, making sure everybody's engaged, sussing out like who's turned off by if I say this or say that or something.
Right.
And I think that that's important. I want this person to know, I appreciate that they appreciate me. I don't know why anybody would object to that. It's strange. It's strange, but I was so glad.
Yeah, but the important thing is, the important thing is that it is accomplishing what you wanted to accomplish. And that is to help spread that joy and that affiliation, build a community. And, because fans, obviously, people who perform can't do it without fans. Fans are the most important component of that. If you don't have that, there's no career.
Do you know, I wake up every day and for an hour, I sit there and I answer every comment on YouTube. Wow. Even some of the negative ones. I answer everybody on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok. I am fully engaged. I know people won't believe this. When you comment on my video and I say, hey, thanks, Carla. Hey, thanks, Bobby. I appreciate it. Nice to hear. Hope to meet you after one of my shows one day. Hope you share my clips with other people. That helps me. I'm typing that out. This isn't copy and paste. This isn't somebody I hired. This isn't AI.
Right, that's you.
This is me. And I don't know if people believe that, but I
believe it.
I spend hours in the afternoon. I check everything again, and I do it. And
that's dedication.
I feel like, when I was talking to Tim the other day, I said the internet saved my career. Do you remember I said that?
Yeah.
We were talking about how popular his podcast is and how you don't need the, what we used to call the network people and the producers as much. You can do it yourself. I mean, I'm outside my house. I'm in a Shasta, big yellow, and we'll put this up on different platforms. I'll put it in different forms and it will reach people.
Yeah, it does. That's a great thing.
We have the ability to reach people. And so, the ants are still here. So
what about the uncles?
You missed that ant 4 times and it rebounded. So to get Tim in here to sniper those ants.
Oh.
Yeah. So I feel like when I'm with people and they see me on my phone, it's work. I mean, if I wasn't doing this, I would have probably gone into business or been a lawyer. And if I had a family, they would.
I would love to see you in front of a judge.
Oh, I'd be in contempt. I would spend more time in jail than all of my clients together.
You wouldn't have to pay rent or mortgage. You would have, 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
And lodging.
Yeah.
Because a judge would keep you there every time.
Oh, I've told you when I
get
do
out for your hearings and for your trials.
Yeah, when I do jury duty, it's no bueno.
It's no fun for the attorneys.
I'm so glad I didn't become a lawyer because I hate the process so much. I think it is so slow. I think procedure is slow. Explaining if I was a judge and I had to listen to another attorney explain circumstantial evidence to a jury, I'd lose my mind.
Wow.
And so, no, I'm glad. But if I was a lawyer or I was a professional, my family would expect me to be gone for 8 hours a day at least with commuting to work. And I don't understand why people don't get that me answering everybody on social media is my
work.
job.
Yeah.
My job after a show is to call that guy over. And, I'll say this. There was a time when Seinfeld flew me to New York City. And he said, called me up, and he said, Orny, Signy. And he thought that was funny for some reason. And he said, I'm going to take you out to lunch, and I'm going to show you what it's like to be famous. And he actually brought me around, and he showed me how to take pictures of people, how to sign autographs, how to sort of cut a conversation short. And he said, that just bought me, he said, that just made me $1,000. And that's how he saw it. Mm-hmm. And although I don't think of it in those terms, but it is. I am making connections. It is my job. And I believe that if I just put my special up on YouTube, I would get maybe 1 million views, but it's getting closer to 7 million views. Why? Because I engage, because I encourage people like you to watch it and pass it along. That's my job. The head nod is my job. My job is to head nod. When I head nod, I go, he just bought 2 tickets in Phoenix. He just bought tickets for Comedy Magic. That's an Ice House ticket. That's what I do. Vegas ticket, Brea. I gotta do 2,000 head nods to fill Vegas, to fill Brea.
You've just wasted $4,000 worth of head nods right there.
My cameo should just be doing the head nod.
There you go.
Yeah. I was also thinking, Jim, we'll make a little switch here.
All right,
make it about you.
We got about 12 minutes before we got to call my brother. So we got to aren't we going to get on that topic first and then go call him? Or
yes, I'm transitioning sort of to law enforcement right now.
Wow.
Look
at him.
Yeah. Jim is a former FBI, what did they call you? Profiler.
Supervisory special agent and profiler.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he also producer on Criminal Minds, has his own podcast, Best Case, Worst Case.
And Real Crime Profile. I have that. And, I have Bluebeard, which is out there, which is my first audio play. It's a series. Congrats. They bill it as an audio book.
Yeah.
And it's actually acted by real actors. Joseph Fiennes, Karen David.
Notice I wasn't asked. Yeah.
Well, we weren't looking for somebody to scream at everybody. But when I have that character, I'm definitely coming to you.
I have range.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
what's it called?
We'll see about that.
What's it called?
Bluebeard. It's about the first serial killer in L.A.
Yeah.
It's based on a true story, and it's very closely based, very close to reality about what happened with this guy who married 30 women and killed 16 of them. And it was horrible. It's 100 years ago that it happened. And anyway, the Bluebeard is doing great on Audible. It's actually, it went up to number 5 in the nation. Yeah, with the best number 5.
You don't think I could have played a part?
Well, yeah.
Watch this. I'll audition right now. Go ahead. Give me a part.
No,
Give me a part. Let me.
Can't.
Yeah, wait, what? You got this Bluebird guy here, huh? What happened? You didn't want to kill the other 14, huh? What kind of serial killer are you?
Talk like that in 1920.
Figure it out there, kid. Let's go watch Lenny Bruce.
How about when it?
You didn't even audition me.
When it gets on TV, we will.
I wanted to be in the audiobooks. I just wanted.
All right. Well, I'm sorry about that. But
yeah, I got the famous director off the street didn't put me in.
I didn't know you when we actually cast the thing, you know.
I think you did. I think you did. I don't want to bring it up, but I think you did.
I don't think so.
Did.
But
And there's
anyway,
always little parts along the way, but probably couldn't afford me anyway.
yeah,
probably. You
not.
know,
Yeah, you know, you'd if
from the head
if
nod,
I
I
hired you
built
to
a-
not head nod in it, it'd been like $1 million. Anyway,
Yeah.
And I also have FBI Profilers Criminal Archives with Kathy Canning, who is now my co-host on Real Crime Profile. Kathy and I in FBI Profilers, we go through 15 episodes of cases that we work together. It's amazing because when she talks about what she did in the case and I talk about what I did in the case, we remember all these details of what happened behind the scenes and talk about the behavior. And it's really, really cool. It was so fun to do with her, and it's really engaging. And it is probably the most comprehensive podcast there is about serial killers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think you're spreading yourself a little thin?
I like to keep active just like you do. This is my job.
I
right?
love it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm proud of you. Like when you sat down at the table and Tim Dillon came over. Tim, I've tried to get on this podcast a few times. It just hasn't happened yet. I think he's blowing me off at this point, if I'm to be
Seems
honest.
like a nice guy. I don't know if he'd blow you off.
I don't know. So I said, I'm going to show Tim who's boss. So I looked at Jim. I go, Jim, that Real Crime Profile, that little itsy bitsy podcast you're doing over there on Wondery. I go, how many downloads you got? And you said,
About 115 million.
yeah, I looked at Tim. I go, that's a lot, isn't it? All right. This guy's on my podcast all the time. Why don't you come along? So we're going to be calling Tim Clemente in 8 minutes. Tim Clemente is the younger brother of Jim Clemente. And this guy, tell me about your brother.
So my brother, you know, we've been brothers his whole life, right? We were a year apart in school the whole time. We went to the same high school, the same college, and we actually competed. We both got track scholarships, Fordham, and then we started the ultimate frisbee team at Fordham, and that was a lot of fun. We left our track scholarships behind to do that. That was kind of fun to do. But anyway, Tim, out of college, decided that he wanted to try to get into the FBI, and they told him, you can't. You got to have 3 years of work experience after college. So he started a construction company in the Bronx and did,
Mafia.
you know, he had to deal with them, and he ended up getting tired of that, having to ask the guy on the block if he can do stuff. So he moved to California, started building custom homes, did that for a little while. Then the FBI, when he had the 3 years in, the FBI had a hiring freeze. Now, I was already in the FBI at that time, but they had a hiring freeze that lasted like 4 years. So during those 4 years, he became a cop in St. Louis and did amazing. He was #1 in the academy, right? So he got to choose where he got to work. And you'd think, you know, a guy at that time, I think he had 5 or 6 kids.
How many kids does he have?
Total of 9. 8.
He's very different than you.
Well, yes, he is. But, you know, he's my brother.
9 kids?
Yes, but so...
Any twins or triplets?
No, his wife is amazing.
Wow.
Same wife. They adopted one, but
Okay.
the rest are...
Biological.
Yeah. So he becomes this cop, right? And he's doing great, but he gets to choose what neighborhood he's going to work in because he's the #1 cop. And so you'd think, you know, with all those kids and stuff, he'd go somewhere out in the suburbs and, you know, have a nice, easy life. He picked the bloody 3rd District. And it was called the bloody 3rd District because there were more shootings and murders than anywhere else in St. Louis.
Wow.
So he moved his family into the 3rd District so he could be right near work. And then he worked there. And he did some amazing stuff. And one day he'll come on your podcast and tell you all these great stories about his work there. But then when the hiring freeze ended, I found out about it. I told him immediately. He put his application in.
Yeah.
And he was in the 2nd class. The 1st class is always like internal transfers in the FBI.
Yeah.
But the 1st class after that, he was in. And he did great in the FBI. So much so that when they assigned him to Washington Field Office, they let him join SWAT immediately, even though generally you have to wait 2 years.
Why did he join SWAT? Like when you were a kid, did you guys have guns? You grew up in New York.
I mean, right, but we didn't have guns, but we were in a shooting club, you know, at some point when we were kids, you know, it was just a skill, you know, to have. But he was always amazing, and he just excelled at it. He excels at whatever he puts his mind to. He's very accurate and precise in his entire life.
Must be.
Right. And he's naturally gifted builder and mechanic and all this stuff. But
how elite is the sniper team for the FBI?
oh my God, it's extremely elite. There's only a handful of them, and he got picked to do it. And again, he was just in the bureau, and usually they make you wait 2 years, but because of his skill level, they let him do it immediately, and they put him through the sniper school. And because he was just going for regular SWAT training, but they said, no, you get to be a sniper. And, you know, they gave him this, he'll tell you what it is, this super cool sniper rifle that he doesn't miss with. And, you know, if you ask him, he'll tell you about the test he had to take to pass that sniper school. It's pretty amazing.
Didn't he hit a bullseye from a mile away?
Well, you're going to have to talk to him about that.
Well, I don't know what I'm allowed to ask.
Well, you can ask him that.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. That's what you can ask him. But anyway, the point is...
So go ahead.
He's great at that. He's also a great interrogator, interviewer. He's a great investigator. And he has, as I told you before, he did 4 tours in Iraq for the FBI. He was also there. He responded to the Cole bombing. He responded to the embassy bombings in Africa. I mean,
What do you mean responded?
As an FBI agent, did an investigation because they involved U.S. citizens in a foreign country.
Weren't you two involved with Saddam Hussein?
Well, yeah, he was there on the tactical side, and I was in the BAU, and we were feeding them questions to ask Saddam Hussein in the interrogation strategy.
Wow. Was he in the room with Saddam?
You know, I can't confirm or deny that.
Okay.
Sorry about that. But anyway, the point is, if you think my career has been amazing, whew,
yeah.
wait till you talk to him about his.
You guys have seen a lot.
Yeah.
Are you competitive?
No, not professionally. No, I mean, we work together, and we write together too. You know, so
yeah,
and we produce together, so it's a good thing.
Got like 2 more minutes. This is like New Year's Eve waiting for the countdown. You know, it's.
You could probably go home 2 minutes early.
You think so? Let's try and call him.
All right.
Let's see. What should my first question be?
Is it okay if I talk to you?
Yeah.
You don't have to be too afraid.
Is he friendly like you? Infectious?
He is. He is.
Okay.
He is. Yeah, he's got a great personality.
I wish he was here in person.
Oh, do we put the headphones on?
Yeah, because it's going to come through here.
Okay.
So you can say hi first.
Uh-oh.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed.
What did you do?
Please check the number and dial.
You got to be kidding me. Let me try again here. Put this down. Oh boy. Hand me his phone under here just so. Let's see. Sorry everybody. We're calling Tim Clemente.
My brother.
Yeah, was a sniper. We don't know.
Well, he still has the skills and abilities. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get rid of that.
Yeah, he's
Jim, the top mobile or the
top?
Okay, top one. All right. I wonder who I'd get if I called the second one. That would be fun. I'm a little anxious about this. I'm going to be honest.
Wow.
Oh, hold on. Let's turn this up. Oh, there it is. Here, close that so nobody sees.
Hello?
Tim.
Yes.
Hey, it's Orny Adams.
And Jim Clemente.
Orny, hey, Jimmy. How you doing?
Good, how are
nice
you?
to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Good.
too. How are things there in Montana?
Quite beautiful.
Wow.
What's the temperature these days?
4 million miles.
What cell tower are you at?
I don't know.
You're going in and out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. First of all, tell me what it's like to be Jim Clemente's younger brother.
It's torture.
Yeah.
What's it like to be Jim Clemente's podcast partner?
I think Jim's great. I think he's amazing. We just have such a connection and really enjoy talking to him on so many levels. And
I've been telling him about you forever, and he wants you to come on.
yeah, you know, Jim and your other brother, Peter, they brag about you nonstop. And I'm like, I've got to have him on my podcast, but you're never in Los Angeles, or if you are, it just doesn't work out. So I'm excited to talk to you, and especially in light of, you know, what just happened with the assassination attempt on Trump.
Yeah.
You know, tell me a little bit about your background, because Jim says, you know, being a sniper in the FBI is a very elite group of people. So how do you get there?
Well, you just have to shoot well. That's the first qualification, and it's also when I was on the SWAT team. You know, when you're an FBI agent, your SWAT is what's called an ancillary responsibility. So you do your normal casework, and then you also have this additional duty, which is to be part of the SWAT team. And a lot of the specialties within the FBI are like that. So you go through a selection process, and that's physical challenges, mental challenges, and shooting challenges. And if you do well enough on all of the above, then you're considered for possibility to be a sniper too, because a sniper has to do everything everybody else has to do, and then they also have to have the ability to get behind a long gun and be very accurate, precise, and it's also an intelligence gathering role too. It's not just shooting.
Right. And it seems like it's so mental that you have to sit there behind this long gun for hours, right? Sometimes just waiting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And tell them about ghillie suits.
So ghillie suit is basically you take the local foliage of wherever you're going to be and you integrate it into a fake foliage suit that's made like of a netting or mesh.
Oh, I saw that in Rambo. That's like Rambo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, in that Rambo, that was Matthew Morrison, a good buddy of mine, that played that sniper that wore the ghillie suit. So the reason you wear it is so you can blend into the environment. So it's not like there's a ghillie suit that you wear that you can work in any environment. Every environment you got to take the local foliage wherever you're going to be. I was on a mission one time for I think it was an espionage case, where they needed the snipers to get in and cover a team that was going to enter into the house to do some super secret squirrel stuff. And so they wanted to make sure there was coverage, but there was no way to provide like a police car out front or anything like that, or uniformed security of any kind or law enforcement. And so we had to get in ghillie suits and crawl through a very high-end neighborhood in Washington, D.C., and hide in bushes for about 36 hours while this team did an entry on a house, watched and observed what the people that lived there were doing so that we could provide that information back to the guys that were going to break into the house. You know, we've been watching the house for 24 hours. This person goes to work at this time. They come back around this time. This is the car they drive. So that kind of information gathering is really dull work, but important too.
Do you have your guns with you, your long rifles, or?
Oh yeah. Because we had to be able to provide security for the team that was actually doing an entry.
But for the pre-surveillance, why not just set up a camera in the bush or have an AT&T truck outside pretending to work?
Well, sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't, depending on the environment, because if it's a totally secure compound where no UPS truck, no plumbing truck, nobody's going to get in there on these grounds. You can't just have something like that. And so how do you get in to set the camera up? If it's out on a public street where everyone has access, that's the normal way to do it. But in this circumstance, it was a protected environment completely. So we had to effectively break into the outer perimeter and then crawl for a couple of miles to get in position and hide in shrubs so that we could be overseeing the operation from a security standpoint and then also providing intelligence.
What kind of terrain are you crawling through?
Anything. We go through sewer grates into the sewer system sometimes and crawl through drain pipes. Other times it's through grass or hedges or trees. Obviously, the easiest way to move is through like a very densely wooded area because you have the protection visibly of the trees around you. But if you don't have that, if you have grass, hopefully it's long enough that it can conceal you. And that's one of the problems, the dilemmas you have to solve is how do you get from point A to point B?
And how many people?
It was one of the big things we tested out.
How many people were on that mission hiding in the bush?
Two.
And you were one of them.
Sniper.
You were one of them.
Yes.
But you'll pretend to be a bush at one point, and the bush will slowly move across a yard, right, until you get to another terrain, and then you have to redo your ghillie suit to whatever the new terrain is, right?
Yeah. So as you're moving, if you're moving through, dried brown grass, that's what's going to be part of your uniform, and it's going to be put into your head cover, your back, on your weapon itself. And generally, when you're crawling through something like that, you have your rifle in what's called a drag bag. It's a long, usually camouflage or olive draft green bag that has a strap that you pull behind you, and you put it's got looping on it, so you can put the local foliage into that too, so that you move very, very slowly and come across, like the terrain where I'm in right here in Montana has a lot of sagebrush that pops out and it's green, and the grass around it is, tan, golden brown. So as you move from sagebrush to tan grass, you would have to transition with that grass or with that sagebrush integrated into your ghillie.
Wow. And I don't mean to question your technique, but, the guy who tried to assassinate Trump, that guy just walked up on a roof with a rifle, flew a drone beforehand.
With no training?
Yeah, no training. I think he had a ladder. I mean, he did pretty well. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, the reality is the good guys have to be right and accurate and precise every time.
Yeah.
The bad guy just has to get lucky one time. And in this case, the good guys were not right, precise, or accurate in what they did. And so the bad guy got really lucky and was able to take advantage of that.
Do you think he was
terrible situation?
Do you think yes? Do you think he was shocked that he got as far as he did?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think this video of him like scampering along that roof, like basically running along the roof ridge at one point, just seconds before he took the shot. And I think he was stunned that you have this crowd of people yelling, "Hey, there's a guy on the roof! Hey, there's a guy on the roof! Police! There's a guy on the roof! Call the Secret Service! There's a guy on the roof! He's got a gun! There's a guy on the roof with a gun!" All this is going on, and obviously he's hearing some of that and seeing the crowd of people down below,
pointing at him.
He's thinking, "I can't believe I'm here! What am I going to do? Oh, I got to try and do this, And obviously he had, Jimmy's better to talk to about the profile on him, but looking at the Google searches he did about other assassinations and other assassins, he was looking to go out in that blaze of glory.
Exactly. And he actually posted it. Everybody's saying they can't find his motive. He posted his motive. He said, July 13th will be my premiere. Make sure you watch. He's obviously looking for that infamy. He wanted to be known. He wanted to feel better about his miserable life because he felt like he was disconnected. He didn't have any friends. He was picked on. He was bullied, and this was his opportunity to shine.
And help me understand the mentality of like a sniper. So in this case, the counter sniper who took out that shooter. Is that the greatest moment in his life? Is that like, he got to take somebody out?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, Orny, that people that use guns, carry guns, and do it for a living, you don't do it to take a life. You do it to save a life. And so that Secret Service agent, and I think it was the Secret Service counter assault team sniper that took that shot. It's not that he feels great about splattering that guy's head all over the rooftop, but he obviously feels great about, I saved how many countless other lives by taking this shot and taking that threat out of this equation. So that's, there is definitely, I never had to take a shot as a sniper. There were several circumstances where, actually one circumstance in particular where we were given the green light. And I was really hoping nobody took the shot. We had multiple sniper teams around the guy on one occasion. So, and that was, Jimmy, if you remember the tractor man in DC that was in the pond.
Right.
Yeah. So we were given the green light to take him out because the mistaken communication with him was that they thought he had conveyed that he had a bomb, but in reality he was just saying, "I don't want this situation to blow up." Oh. And so, sniper teams were given a green light to shoot the guy, and luckily it didn't work out in our favor.
Right.
And it turns out in the end that he wasn't an actual threat. But so imagine how you would feel after the fact if you took that shot, justified, given the order to take the shot, and then it turned into a bad shot.
Do you think?
And the same thing could be true for the Secret Service snipers in this case.
Right. Do you think that's what happened? That because supposedly, an hour before they identified him as suspicious, and then they saw him with the rangefinder that elevated the threat level, the risk level, and then they had him on the roof like 20 minutes. Didn't the Secret Service know that he was on the roof like 20 minutes before he took the shot and 10 minutes before Trump took the stage?
I don't know if the Secret Service counter sniper team knew that.
Right.
But it was definitely known, and that's the problem, is that this was, above all else, a communication failure. I mean, they didn't have direct communications with the state and local authorities that are in that building and wandering around that building trying to figure out who this guy on the roof is. And you can imagine the counter sniper teams are looking at a kid on the roof. Obviously, the counter sniper team has excellent optics. So, what this kid looks like, they could count every pimple on his face from the distances they were. So they can see the guy, and maybe they don't see the rifle right away, but they see him. They see this head pop up multiple times, see him scampering across the roof. And, what I just said about you can't be wrong one time. Your career's over. You may even go to prison today if you take that shot, and it turns out this kid's Donald Trump's biggest fan, and he was just up there trying to get a great picture.
That counter sniper that shot him, did he make that call? Who makes the call? Who gives the green?
Well, the green light in this circumstance is different for the Secret Service, because the Secret Service, they determine the perimeter and the security level of whatever their protectee is. And for the President of the United States, it's obviously for the sitting president, it's a much higher threat, much higher security concern. Donald Trump is a candidate. He's a former president, so he has Secret Service protection because of those two standings. In either circumstance, either as that candidate or as the former president, he has Secret Service protection. But it's not at the same level that the Presidential Protection Detail would operate at. And so the threat level is going to determine kind of where that green light comes from. If there's a known threat, and at this time apparently there was a known threat by Iran against Trump.
Right.
And so that threat level might then elevate who has authority for lethal force. And every law enforcement individual has deadly force authority if they're armed. And obviously every Secret Service, whether uniformed or plain clothes, are armed and they have that authority. And so you always have the authority to take out a threat. You never have to seek permission for that. Oh. The problem in this case is they don't know right away. I'm talking only about the Secret Service and other sniper teams that are on the roof. They don't know he's a threat, literally, until they see the shots being fired, apparently. And that is a problem. And so they probably didn't seek authorization to take a shot sooner, and they might not needed to if they had seen a threat sooner. If they had seen that he was dragging a rifle up on the roof with them, then that's a shot they take. Nobody has to ask permission. You don't there's no apologies later. It's, hey, I saw a guy climbing on the roof with a rifle. Didn't have any confirmation that might have been a blue on blue situation, that maybe it's another law enforcement entity. And so you take that shot. Right.
But why did the Secret Service not have that building that was so close and obviously in a position to threaten the speaker? Why did they not have that in their perimeter? Why did they not have somebody up there? Isn't that a major failure?
And why didn't they pull him off the stage when they knew he was up there?
Yeah, those are two of the biggest questions. That the answer is they failed. That's the only answer. They failed in their primary task, their only task, to protect this person who's going on this stage for this event. And they didn't do it. Now those failures just compounded one on top of the other. Lack of communication with the locals who were in that building and should have been on top of that building, covering it. That communication went up and down the line and horizontally from the local PD to the state police. And you see the different uniforms running around the outside of the building when they were notified there was a guy on the roof. But nobody in that group is communicating with the Secret Service guys that are immediately around the protectee, Donald Trump, who's about to come out and speak. And they're also not in communication with the counter sniper teams that can look at that roof and see what's there.
And that's another failure, right? The lack of direct communication.
Do you know
absolute failure.
Do you know what I think is going on? And I'm not even being flippant, but if you come to see my stand-up show, I talk about how nobody's working anymore. There's a complacency out there. And I think it's a disease since COVID. Everybody is quietly quitting. and they just don't put. There's a truck backing up. If you can hear it in the background, sorry. Not as in their ghillie suits. These people, not as.
That's our surveillance. That's our surveillance team right now coming in.
Yeah. No, but I think that the Secret Service, like everybody else, I've found that since COVID, people aren't working, don't put as much in, don't have the mental concentration. And I think it goes all the way up to the Secret Service that just.
Well, there was a complete and utter failure. And then the director, she gets on TV and says, well, the roof was sloped, so it was dangerous, so we didn't put anybody on it.
Dangerous.
That was just such a ridiculous, ignorance just flowed out of that statement. And then, it was hot, and, the snipers, the actual counter snipers, were on a roof that was sloped even more than that roof. That was a slight slope.
It's just
to
an
that roof.
excuse.
Now, that absolutely ridiculous. And Orny, I think you're totally correct. I don't know if it has to do with the pandemic or if it's just, in the Bureau, we used to have a term for people like this, and it was called RIP, R-I-P, retired in place.
Oh.
And it was usually an agent that was getting ready to retire. They only had a couple years left, so they would take a job where they could just sit at their desk and, do crossword puzzles and stuff like that.
But
they never wanted to work.
I don't think.
And I think that has spread now to people that are in their teens up to retirement age. I think I agree, and I don't know the cause, but I think your theory is good. And if it's part of your stand-up routine, I don't know that I would laugh at that because it's sad that it's probably very true.
Oh, you would laugh. I make it funny. If I'm talking about somebody at a coffee shop or working at a pizza place or Home Depot, I'm being sneaky and subversive the way I'm talking about how deeply damaged society is. I'll tell you why I think it's COVID and I think some of these people don't even know that they've given up, that they've resigned, that they don't have the drive that they once did. And I think when we sat at home or alone for that amount of time, I think people reevaluated their lives and realized that they only wanted to do so much and that they didn't want to do what they were told to do growing up, this American dream, do as much as you can and achieve, and that they could get away with doing less and still enjoying their lives, which really, for most people, is just sitting around playing Nintendo and PlayStation and getting high. And,
fortunately, not everybody's like that, but I'm sure there are people like that. But in the United States Secret Service, they should only be hiring people. They hire people who are willing to give their lives to protect whoever the protectee is. But unfortunately, and Tim can definitely speak to this, they have developed a level of arrogance that also brings about ignorance, and they think they are the only ones who do their job right. They believe they're doing it right all the time, and clearly they have never failed to the degree they did this time. And but for a slight tilt and turn of Donald Trump's head, we would have had an assassinated presidential candidate, former president, and we could have had a civil war on our hands.
And they're supposed to take a bullet. Sorry, Tim, but take a bullet. These agents put their hands up over Trump's. It was like to protect his head.
5'3".
They're going to take a bullet in the hand. Like they should have smothered him like a blanket.
Well, but Orny, there were a few those. I think 3 or 4 guys. I think there were 3 actually that reacted bravely, heroically, and properly, and immediately went onto the stage and covered his body with their body. And then you'll notice the one guy that had his hands up over the front of Donald's head has his head between Donald Trump's head and the sniper position. And so he's doing it right.
Okay.
And he's doing it right because he's physically capable of doing it right.
Right.
Then you have the 5'3" female who basically is cowering behind that gaggle of agents and Donald Trump behind the stage. And she can't possibly do it right. She could put her hand all the way in the air and can't protect his head.
She's just not big enough.
And it's just, she is not, it's physics. She is not physically capable of doing that job. She's not. Right. Now, maybe if Danny DeVito was running for president, she's big enough that she could cover his body with hers. But this isn't Danny DeVito.
Yeah, and
a lot of people think he acts like Danny DeVito sometimes. But the point is that you cannot put people on a detail to protect an individual that are not physically capable of, one, covering that person, and by covering I mean using your body to protect that person,
right.
And 2, carrying that person. Because if Donald Trump had taken a round to the hip and was immobile, each one of those Secret Service agents needed to be able to pick him up and get him to that vehicle and get him off the X, get him out of Dodge.
Yeah.
And more than half of those people there that were part of that detail, and I don't know if they were all active Secret Service agents or some of them were contractors, local hires, whatever, but they were not physically able to do that, and they should never have been there. They should never have been put in that position, and they were put in a position to fail. That is an institutional problem.
And I agree that some of them acted correctly and honorably, but at the end of the day, they allowed Trump to control the situation. He wanted to stand up, get his shoes on.
I know. What if there was another sniper?
I know that is a flaw, because the way it should have been done is you protect him down once you get the clearance to move, and clearance to move is, look, right now he's under a scrum of armor-clad Secret Service agents who are using their body as armor for him, and their own body armor as armor for him. And so that's where he's safest right now. And then once the all clear is given, hey, we don't see any other threats, move him. It's got to be right now, get him out of Dodge, get him into that vehicle. But there was so much hesitation. Where are we going? What are we doing? Where are we going? What are we doing? What's the plan? They're literally asking that question, and it should not be anything but instinctual at that point.
Right.
Where the vehicle is, who's backing the vehicle up, who's at the door of the vehicle. All of that should have been done in advance, and it was not. None of it was. And Orny, your statement about they're just gliding through life and the job is not really a job to them at that point, that was visible with a lot of the people who were there. Not the three guys that actually came down and formed that scrum. They were doing everything correctly, but I think the problem was nobody planned for this eventuality. It has to be planned out and orchestrated prior to an event. At this location, this is how we're going to do this. The vehicle is going to be staged here. The second vehicle is going to be staged here. You never just have one egress point. You always have multiple egress points, because the shooter could have been standing next to the vehicle you wanted to take out of there. Yeah. And there might have been three of them. But, so you have to have another point that you can go out. And none of that appears to have been planned out.
But what you're bringing up is what I believe they're lacking the mental fortitude, which is something that you have to have as a sniper. So if you're sitting on a roof for 12 hours waiting for the subject or the person you're going after
or 36.
To appear, you have to be, for that entire time you're looking into that scope, be prepared. You can't take a second off. You can't be complacent. Am I right?
Absolutely. And that it was evident that wasn't the case, because the counter snipers took a long time to take that shot. If they had any inkling that this guy was a potential threat, there should have been crosshairs on him. And it doesn't mean that they're pulling the trigger just because they see him, but there should have been crosshairs on him. And so the crosshairs are on him. All of a sudden he pops up and starts taking a shot. The counter sniper shot should have been the second round.
He was able to take 8 shots, and he killed
over 12 seconds.
Yeah, and he killed
12 seconds, huh?
Yeah, he killed one person, seriously injured 2 other people, and almost killed Donald Trump. I mean, I know, I don't know if you have any more questions about this, but
I do. I have one more.
Yeah, okay, well, go ahead, because I want to talk to you also about what the FBI director said about possible fragments and things like that.
And I also want to talk to Tim about his longest shot he's ever made and what it takes. So let me ask you this, Tim, because I suspect the snipers failed too, because I feel like once they saw somebody on the roof, they should have signaled to the team, get Trump off the stage. So my question for you is, have you played the mental game where you've put yourself on that roof as a counter sniper, and do you think you would have done anything different?
Yeah, well, obviously, the fact that they didn't warn the protection detail around Trump to don't bring him out or get him off the stage means that they were, one, unsure of, hey, what do we do if there's a guy on a roof?
Right.
And how do you get to the point where you're unsure about that? That's just, it's incomprehensible that that's even a possibility. So the
what would you have done differently?
you give the information immediately to that detail, and you tell them, hey guys, we got something that I don't like up here, and somebody makes that call, and it's probably the shift leader, and that's the guy or woman that's closest to the protectee, that sits in the front right seat of their limo and makes all the calls.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I don't like the way this route is looking. Let's go another route. And so they make the calls for that. So they should have been notified. Look, we got a guy on the roof. He's got a laser rangefinder from what we can see. He keeps scampering about. We don't know what he's doing. Maybe you should hold off for 5 minutes, delay his speech. Let's check this out. That's what should have happened.
Yeah.
And then it should have been, hey, locals, can you get somebody up on the roof and see who this guy is and what he's doing there and get him off that roof? And then put a local in uniform on the peak of that roof so we can see them. And then you give us the thumbs up that it's all clear there, and we'll give the thumbs up to the protection detail to allow the protectee to come out.
Right. That's what should have done. But you brought up, Tim, about the person who sits to the right of the driver, right, or the protectee. You are the one that redesigned the Secret Service vehicles, right? So that the seats are all facing backwards, right? And that there's a kick release in the back door so that they can...
Yeah, well, I did that for the State Department first, for their diplomatic security protection guys, and then the Secret Service copied it. But that was for the follow vehicles, because the follow vehicles have to protect 360. You have a lead vehicle and a follow vehicle, usually, and then you have a limo in between. That's usually the minimum protocol. And so that they had all these vehicles where in the follow vehicle, they're all facing forward, and in the lead vehicle, they're all facing forward. Well, that doesn't provide the 360 protection. So I developed a modified version.
And what is kick?
I got
Yeah, go ahead. You have to go?
I only have a couple more minutes to go.
Well, first of all, tell us quickly, you did some tours of duty in Iraq, too? And
Yeah, I did a few tours in Iraq with the FBI. And I faced some sniper fire there on multiple occasions. I was shot at by snipers.
Did you ever shoot back?
No. Under the circumstances, our rules of engagement, I can't identify that there are no innocents around a person shooting at me. And I only had a handgun with me at multiple times when I was shot at. But one time I was talking to a soldier in a Bradley armored vehicle at an entry point to a base, and a sniper was shooting and went right over my head and hit the Bradley vehicle right there. And the guy in the Bradley has a 50 caliber machine gun. And he said, "Sir, they're shooting at you. They're shooting at you." And I said, "Well, shoot back." And he said, "I'm not allowed to." I said, "Well, I only have a pistol." So I ran behind the Bradley vehicle in that case. And I was like, all right, well, the sniper chased me away, but he didn't get me.
But what's the longest shot you've taken on a target?
1,000 yards.
Which is what? What's a mile?
It's 3/4 of a mile.
A mile's 1,660 yards.
So
it's a little over half mile.
What does it take to shoot 1,000 yards? You have to take the curvature of the Earth into mind?
Well, yeah, the curvature of the Earth the rotation of the Earth is also something you have to take into mind, because when you release that bullet from the barrel of the gun, the Earth is rotating. And so that target then moves from where it was. But at 1,000 yards, it's negligible. It's when you get out, mile and a half and beyond, where these guys are taking 2,500, 3,000 yard shots.
Whoa.
Literally 2 miles. In those circumstances, the bullet's in the air for 2.5, 3 seconds. And how much does the Earth rotate in that 2.5, 3 seconds? It becomes significant. But the main things you have to take into account are wind more than anything else.
And the drop, right?
And then the gravity, because the bullet's going to drop precipitously over a distance.
So it's all mathematics. You have to know the weight of the bullet and gravity and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
So
because gravity affects that bullet the same way it affects everything else. It's going to fall at the same speed that anything else falls of that same mass. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of calculations that come into play to figuring out. That's why snipers keep what's called a data book. It's every shot they've ever fired from their sniper rifle and how it was affected by the wind, how your optics are affected by the sun at a particular angle to the sun at a particular time of day. And so you keep all that data. So when you get into a situation where you have to set up for a shot, you have that data readily accessible, and you can say, okay, this is how I'm going to play this shot based on prior experience.
I hate that. I hate that you have to leave because I have so many questions. You know, I
I'll come back again.
Yeah, please do. I mean, I want to know how, like, you know, how can we protect anybody if they can shoot from 3 miles away?
Because we have good counter snipers.
Yeah, my camera just went off, so this is a great time to take a break. But you're amazing, and I could talk to you for hours. So I hope when you're in town, you'll come on the podcast.
Sounds good. I'll definitely do that.
Beautiful.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
All right, take care.
All right, great talking to you.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. Yep, bye.
Bye.
We're back.
Yeah, we are back, and you got to talk to my brother Tim for the first time.
He's amazing. He's smart. The Clementes are smart. How did all the Clementes become
I don't know.
So smart and
Our
such
parents
achievers?
were pretty smart, and you know, our grandparents were both sets of grandparents were major achievers. You know, they lost everything in 1929 during the Depression. That was the year my father was born, but they both came back. Both families found a way to work themselves from nothing to doing pretty well. So I think not only did they have great work ethic, but they had some pretty good intelligence there.
Yeah.
Well, we got a little bit of it.
Comes through. I could talk to. I mean, I can talk to you for hours, but now Timmy. I'm ranking the brothers. I'm starting to think Peter's in third.
Okay.
Peter's in third.
Well, you haven't had him on your podcast.
He can work on
yet.
that. Well, not yet. I think Tim. Well, you know what I'm saying. He's the new kid.
All right.
He's the new kid.
All right. I guess that'll work.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, but I'm serious with Peter too. Like the things that he knows about, which are like music and entertainment and branding and marketing and business and investing. I mean, he's amazing that way. He's also a really great writer. And, so he's got a lot of facets as well.
But you know that expression, leave them wanting more?
Yeah, I guess.
I feel like that was achieved today with Tim.
Tim, I want to talk to him more. I still had some questions I wanted to ask him about the sniper. And
what did you want to ask him?
I wanted to ask him about the whole, Director Wray of the FBI said that at some point he said they didn't know whether or not Trump was hit by a bullet or shrapnel from a bullet. And, I just thought that's kind of ridiculous because maybe it's because Trump apparently healed quickly, but you don't know how much of that is makeup because, they'll cover up things.
It is a little weird how quickly the bandage was off.
All right, I get it, but he's also got excellent medical care and makeup. People go on camera all the time with things that they don't want to show, and
so
they
then
just
why not?
cover up makeup.
So they have a prosthetic ear on there? They filled in with putty?
No, I don't think that's necessary. But anyway, the point is, if the sniper was aiming at Trump's head, which he apparently was, for him to have hit another object, let's say a metal rail some people are talking about, or there's a piece of machinery between where he's shooting and where Trump was, and to still have one fragment of that bullet to hit Trump would be 1 billion to 1, maybe 1 trillion to 1 shot. In other words, if there was some physical obstruction, it would have diverted that bullet and the fragments from it, it would have diverted them off course significantly. And so I think it was an actual bullet that actually grazed him, that actually didn't damage him too much. I don't think it went through cartilage. I think it grazed across his skin.
Yeah.
And it bled like your ears do when you get cut on your ear. And I think that's what happened, and that's why it healed so quickly.
Well, there's that picture of what looks like a bullet trail behind him. Looks like a comet.
It's a vapor trail, behind the bullet. Yeah. But the fact is that if your skin gets cut like that, and I mean, the speed of that bullet probably also did, probably cauterized the wound. It was so hot going by. I don't think that it didn't bleed as much as I would have expected. It didn't continue to bleed when he stood up. it obviously bled while he was down on the ground because you could see the blood trail going forward on his face. So obviously it bled while his head was facing downward, but it didn't seem to be bleeding when he stood back up and did his fist pumping.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know the extent of his injuries.
Do you think we'll ever know?
Well, we should, as a people. The president and the presidential candidates, when they get injured on the job, we should know about that.
I mean, you're fired up. When we took a little break because the camera had to cool off. Jim Clemente had to cool off. It's very hot here in Big Yellow. We don't have ventilation.
This is a hot Big Yellow event. Let me put it that way.
You know, some people do hot yoga. I do hot podcasting. Yeah, that's what I do.
Well, you could open up the vent hole.
I could do a lot of things, but I choose not to. I didn't know it was going to be 90 degrees today. But
is it 90? It seems like it's 157.
Yeah, so we went into my house to cool off a little bit, have some water, and you got fired up about the Kennedy assassination.
Yeah, I did.
Well, tell me what you were saying. I never heard this theory.
Oh, well, the Kennedy assassination, they did a bunch of investigations. There was all sorts of congressional inquiries and all that kind of stuff. And then they sealed the results for like 50 years. So that would have been from 1970, 72? I can't remember. No, 73? I think it was.
When he was assassinated?
Yeah.
It was the 60s.
Was it 63? All right, I'm sorry. I got decades mixed up. But, but they decided at that point that they weren't going to actually release it after 50 years. And they said, well, we're not going to release it till 75 years. And you asked me, why would they do that? And I said, obviously, somebody in the government came to the conclusion that releasing this information would be embarrassing to somebody in the government, probably, or to the United States.
Our government embarrasses itself all the time.
I know, but I do not understand why they feel they have the right to protect that information. And you said, well, what kind of information could it be? And I said, I don't know. It could be that, the driver is a Secret Service agent, right? The driver could have pulled his weapon because he knew that they were taking fire to go back, and the shots were coming from behind him.
Yeah.
Which happened to the right of him when he's facing forward. And so that's actually where Kennedy was. What if he accidentally pulled off a round that also hit Kennedy? I mean, that could look like he committed murder, that he intentionally did that. It could have been an accidental event, and the government didn't want to embarrass the Secret Service or
You're right. Reagan was shot but not killed.
right. And
Trump.
one of the other candidates from down south who was a real racist.
Wallace.
Right. I don't even want to say his name.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah, he was a total racist.
He was killed though, wasn't he?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was a candidate. He wasn't the president of the United States. And I don't think he could have ever been the president of the United States, given his political stance and his racism.
The part of the Kennedy thing that's fascinating is that Jack Ruby just walks in and just shoots Oswald.
Right.
How he got in, it's like, it's so
it's
surreal.
Like
it's
the lucky 20-year-old who shot Trump a couple weeks ago. I mean, like Tim said, the good guys have to be right and accurate and precise every single time. If they fail once, it's an opening for somebody to get lucky.
Oh, they more than failed once that day, though. They sure did. Let's talk about one of the biggest mysteries that has been under lock and key and needs to be absolutely revealed.
What's that?
What is your metabolism? You eat so much. You eat three times as much as me, and you're so skinny. It's starting to really, really piss me off.
Stop. I just do a lot. I mean, first of all, I'm heavier than I should be,
You're so skinny.
Well,
do a lot. I'm at the gym. Do you go to the gym?
No,
I
don't-
hike. Do you hike?
I don't hike. I walk, and I'm very active. I do stuff in my yard, and I
What did you eat the other day? The other day we go to the Improv. Do you notice how I eat? The bread is off of the burger. You were like, you asked for double bread. You eat all your French fries. You eat some of my French fries. Then you ordered 2 desserts, including these donuts. They were donuts, which is enough.
they're donut centers.
Right, they're donut holes, that's enough. Then you took some sort of drizzle. They gave you some salted caramel drizzle on top of it. I ate half of one, not a full one.
You're
half.
right, you did.
And I went into like sugar shock. You ate the entire bowl. There's like 15 of them. I'm staring at you in full resentment, going, first of all, you took me out. You were nice enough to take me out to dinner 2 nights before. We went to a Mexican restaurant. You sit there, you're eating chips like you haven't eaten for 4 days.
Well, I hadn't eaten in a while that day.
So you hadn't, okay.
No, I hadn't eaten that day. Sometimes, I get so busy. Like I'll get up like you dream or nightmare about things you have to do,
Yeah.
which I do too. And so the first sign of light in the morning, I wake up and I just go into my office and I start doing work. And so when I do that, sometimes I get so involved in it that time just passes. And this has happened to me when I was in the FBI. There is so many times that I've been in work and I just say, oh man, I'm hungry. And I get up and I go to ask people, are they going to go to lunch? And they say, lunch was 4 hours ago.
Huh.
We're getting ready to leave in an hour.
How do you forget to eat? I wish I could do that.
Because I just get so involved in what I'm doing. And
But don't you think you would operate better if you had nutrition?
No, what you eat doesn't affect you, actually, other than sugar. Like if you eat sugar, that can give you a spike and then you'll drop down. But food takes a couple of hours for you to even get it through your stomach and out into your digestive system and start getting those nutrients into your system. But that's not what you're living off of. I mean, you're living off of all the other things that your body has stored, like as fat and protein sometimes, unfortunately. Sometimes we start dissolving our own protein instead of the fat on us. And there's all this body chemistry that I don't fully understand because I hate biology. I just hate it. And I really thank God for skin, because everything under our skin is disgusting.
Yeah.
It's just disgusting.
Well,
To me. I'm sorry.
do you want to talk about your skin injury?
Oh, you mean my knee?
You're in the hospital. I thought they were going to have to amputate your leg.
I was worried about that. I apparently got bit by some kind of weird, bizarre spider, and I have noticed now every spider in my whole yard, every time I see one now, I get the power washer out, and I just blast them because I don't want it anywhere near me, and I don't want any spider webs, and I don't want any of them to come back, because apparently this spider bit me through my sweatpants on my knee.
Come on, really?
Yeah, and I just
No, it crawled up.
I
You
don't-
just didn't
I
know.
don't know, because I was on my knees, so it was like the pressure. It would have killed it if it did that. But the fact is that I had a major reaction to this thing, and it took about 4 days for it to really kick in. But it went from being like bright red or pink, to looking like I got run over by a train.
Your whole femur.
Yeah, everything.
That whole the bottom half of your under your knee down. They're gonna have to amputate. This thing looked like gangrene.
It was black red, and then it started developing this bizarre rash below that, and the doctors were coming in like, oh Lord, and they kept sending more doctors. I must have had 6 or 7 doctors come in to look at my knee because they couldn't believe what was
thought
going
it was
on.
flesh eating. I didn't want to tell you, but I
was worried myself, and the doctors did say that my skin was starting to break down. So I was worried about, they have these brown recluse spiders here that if they bite you, your skin necroses. It just rots away. That didn't happen, fortunately, but it was really, really painful. Really
what is
painful.
with you and weird animals? You had a fox bite you that was rabid. I mean, Jim.
Well, good Lord, that was like 30 years ago.
You know what I love? And I want to thank you for not posting a picture on social media. This is my big pet peeve about social media is the neediness of people, like people posting pictures of them in the hospital. Like,
why would you want to do that? I mean,
for attention.
Oh, well, there you go.
I saw somebody post a picture of themselves in the ambulance. And somebody in the ambulance had to take it. So it's like,
really, are you really in distress and needing an ambulance if you're able to friggin' take pictures of yourself? If you care about selfies?
He had the person take the picture. It's like he set up a tripod, did a photo shoot for attention. Like, I'm telling you. This is what the internet has brought us, and complacency. Jim, I want to thank you for coming on. This has been an amazing episode 121. Tell me one thing that's wrong with Jim Clemente. You bring it home. Let me hear you. And then I'm playing the theme.
Does it have to be something wrong with me or something wrong with the world?
What's your biggest gripe this week? Jim Clemente. And,
wow.
And thank you to Tim Clemente for coming on.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate Tim coming on. He's great. And when we have gotten in the room to talk about shows we want to write and sell, I mean, we're just unstoppable together. Like, we just have such a great yin and yang. We're very different, but we're brothers, and we're very similar in a lot of ways as well. So,
how's his metabolism?
Pretty great. I guess my biggest gripe this week, because the Olympics is out, is that, I've heard that people, like great athletes that, that went all the way to France to compete, and then there was some administrative error and they couldn't compete, and then other athletes are, you're not sure if they're actually gender correct for that event, and there's all this controversy around it. I mean, the Olympics is a massive organization. They have billions of dollars. They make billions of dollars every Olympics, right? So why do they not have all this ironed out in advance so there aren't things like that? I mean, can you imagine? Most people only get one opportunity, one shot at the Olympics. And can you imagine you're an athlete and you trained so hard for years and you finally made it and you qualified for your team and you're there and they say, sorry, you can't compete. That's horrible.
How about this?
That just made me feel terrible.
I read, and this will tie it right into Timmy being a sniper. How many people have a sniper on a comedy podcast, right? I read in the New York Times that the people that are in the shooting competitions have a lot of trouble getting their guns into the other country or even getting them on the plane. It's really hard to fly with a real sniper-y looking thing, even in your checked luggage.
Well, you have to check it. You have to have it unloaded. It has to be verified. I mean, I've flown that way since, I retired from the FBI. When you're in the FBI, you actually fly armed. So you have your weapon on you, and you are on duty on any plane. So you can't drink. FBI agents cannot drink while they are on on any flight because they're on duty. At least
in theory.
No. In the nation. If they're going overseas, they're not on duty, so they don't have to worry about it.
You know what I wanted to ask Tim, too, was because he was talking about the ghillie. Is it called a ghillie suit?
Ghillie suit.
Is that with a G?
Yeah.
So I said, I wondered how many times in my life have I been in the scope of a sniper? If these people are around, like maybe I walked in the middle of an investigation or a surveillance.
I can't remember what case it was, but it was one that was on the news, right? It was all over the news. And there were, all these news cameras parked on the front yard of whoever this was. I don't know if it was a victim's family or a suspect's family, whatever it was. But at some point, this sniper in a ghillie suit had to leave. And all these cameras were around. And so all of a sudden, it looked like, a bush that had been standing there for the whole entire hours and hours and hours, that a big section of the bush just separated itself and walked out and walked away. And that was on camera. And I think if we look it up, we'd probably be able to find it. I'll look for it.
Send that to me, please.
But it was hilarious. It was unbelievable. This guy did such a great job. He was standing still, like 10 feet away from these cameramen all day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You got to send me this.
Yeah.
I wish we could call it up right now.
Well, I'm going to look it up right now.
You know what else I wanted to ask Tim?
What's that?
Do they wear diapers?
They don't.
Because when you said a ghillie suit, I thought it was something that...
They don't...
Is it like the Navy SEALs? They have to train themselves not to go to the bathroom?
They do.
Wow. Episode 121. What's wrong with Orny Adams? Boy, I slurred my name. What's wrong with Orny Adams? There it is. Bringing it up. That's right. I want to thank my guest, Jim Clemente. I want to thank his brother, Tim Clemente, FBI sniper. Jim Clemente, FBI profiler. You can check out his podcast, his all his stuff. He's got so much going on. I can't even say it all. I think he's spreading himself thin, to be honest. I want to thank Eric Stoltz for mastering the audio. Have fun with this one, buddy. And I want to thank you guys, the listeners. Without you guys, I couldn't do it. Everybody that is signing up for my Patreon, thank you so much. Everybody that is watching on YouTube and sharing, it's happening. It's happening. What a wonderful episode. Come see me. Come see me at the Comedy Magic Club in Hermosa. Come see me at the Ice House in Pasadena. Brea, California Improv. Come see me at the Desert Ridge, Desert Ridge Improv. And when you come see me at a show, you get the head nod. Jim, do you have it?
I have one.
Okay,
Look,
let me see.
That's actually a sniper in a ghillie suit.
Oh, wow. Is he going to move?
Well, look.
Show it. Hold it up to the... Here.
Okay.
Hold it up to that camera there, and
Okay, I'm gonna
hold it up to your camera, and I'll be able to see it.
All right. So that's the sniper, and then I'm gonna back it up, and you'll see him.
Wow. Boy, this is a technical podcast.
It is.
With a leaf blower going in the background, and oh, there he goes. Oh, wow.
He just disappeared.
That's amazing. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Thanks, Jim.
All right.
Dude, that was
great.
amazing.
Jeez, I feel like I lost 20 pounds. This is why you should just do this more often.
You're welcome on anytime.